Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you happen to be listening. I am somewhat apprehensive, but also excited for today's episode. So, if you're watching on YouTube, you can quickly see that it's just me on the screen. And if you're listening, this is your cue that nobody else will be joining me for today's episode. I have been somewhat reluctant about doing an episode by myself. I can tell you with absolute certainty that it is much easier to prepare to interview somebody else than it is to do this alone. Feels a little bit strange, definitely used to being able to look at somebody else on the screen here. But, just to have debated what this episode should be like, but I think it's important to take some time here. We're about halfway through what will be the first year of the You Don't Know Schmitt podcast. It has been an absolute pleasure to do this show. But I just want to share a little bit today about my story, what inspired this podcast, and, the amazing things that I hope come from it as time goes on. So, as some of you know, I'm Olivia Schmitt. If this is your first time tuning in, hello, welcome. I've been in the insurance industry for almost 16 years now. Started in an independent agency at in my early 20s. I won't completely give away my age, but started in my early 20s and just really enjoyed the industry somewhat right away. And part of it just being that I was surrounded by some really great people and, worked in a commercial lines capacity as an account manager and just really felt like, there was so much to learn. There was this huge world, but also was very focused on the job that I was doing. Like there was just this one thing. And then as time went on, I started to get a little more curious. I certainly was just kind of wondering what else was out there when it came to career opportunities. And I ended up leaving the agency after about 9 years. And I went and did project management at IBM and learned some really interesting things during that time, but ultimately found that my heart was still very much in the insurance industry. I loved the people, still would talk about coverage with people, found myself frequently visiting with my old coworkers, and not just to socialize, but also like to talk about insurance. And so, there was certainly something in my blood when it came to my fondness for the insurance industry. And I was lucky enough at that point to be welcomed back by the agency that I had originally worked in. And I consider myself extremely lucky that that worked out the way that it did. But when I returned to the agency, I found myself in a position where there was a promotion available to me. I could start working on a very interesting project with, working specifically with a subset of clients in their book. And so, worked through that process over a few years, and it was interesting. There was a lot of growth opportunity there for me, a lot of things that I needed to learn, a lot of skills that I needed to acquire in order to be able to do that job. And it just gave me a lot of exposure to so many different functions within the agency that I didn't really know existed prior to that. But there was still like this certain sense of curiosity and still feeling a little bit of an internal struggle, feeling a little bit unrepresented in my role, sometimes not knowing how to speak up for myself, but also feeling like there was only one path. I didn't even know where to look in terms of any other career opportunities. It seemed like you got on one track and you stayed there, and you just worked, either in one role or you tried to climb the ladder. I didn't really think about other roles within the industry, other things that I could be doing. But then, I slowly started to find my voice, but, was still very unsure about where I ultimately wanted to go next. Was still really, really trying to figure that out. And then there was like this catalyst in, changing what I believed the industry had to offer. I landed in Cleveland at a little conference called Elevate, and my horizons were not just expanded in that conference, they just exploded. I found this incredible group of people. It was almost as if I didn't know, there were people in insurance outside the Midwest or something like that. Like I'm not sure like how my worldview of insurance was so small, but it certainly was. But it just was all kind of any theory that I had about how insurance agencies functioned was just quickly blown out of the water during that conference. I met the smartest and most innovative and just generous and thoughtful and thought leading people, that up until, 48 hours before leaving Cleveland, I didn't even know these people existed. And so it was just this absolute mind blowing experience for me. And the funny thing is that there were a lot of people that I met while at the conference, but even more that I continued to connect with via social. So that's really when my social journey began. I knew that if I didn't connect with these people on LinkedIn or some other platform, that I was going to lose contact with all of these amazing people. And so then, all of that enthusiasm that was starting to grow in me was probably going to be watered down pretty quickly. And so I tried to harness all of that energy. And so, got on LinkedIn, started connecting with people on a regular basis. And the network has continued to grow. And in that is this incredible tribe of women, and which has also led to people, amazing women outside of the insurance industry, other leaders in their spaces. And just watching all of this grow and evolve has been one of the biggest life-changing experiences. It's hard for me to almost describe it sometimes because it really changed the trajectory of my career. I realized in that moment that there was this huge world of opportunity. Even though my love was very much for the independent agent space, there was certainly a lot of other things that I could be curious about and explore. And again, it's not like I had all of the answers at that point. We're a couple years past Cleveland at this point, but there was a lot that I learned, and I knew that there was so much more that I could learn after that. What I believed to be this little box of insurance started to change a lot. I felt that curiosity again and that excitement. And so as this journey has continued, I've continued to connect with people. And the network of people has just, it's like this growing spider web, and it just continues to get added to and expand. And sometimes networking would feel a little bit awkward for me. I was like, oh, I don't really like that. It felt like I was trying to leverage connections for some sort of hidden agenda or motive. But what I've come to realize, because all of these people are so just amazing, is that networking is about community. It's about relationships, about support and mentorship, and all of these good things that help us learn and grow and evolve and push boundaries and challenge ourselves. That's really, if you have a good network, that's what's happening. You don't need to be the top dog or the most important person in your network. You want to connect with people that are going to continuously challenge you and help you move the needle forward in whatever direction it is that you're trying to go. And, as my story has continued to evolve, I have seen, so many changes. I found myself finding that confidence, which I'm still working on, but becoming more assertive, just trying to be more curious and, really think through what my next step would be in my career. And, I was still pretty apprehensive about it, but I, over the last couple of years, certainly started to explore what all of that could look like. And a lot of it's still formulating in my head, but I was lucky enough to be, connected with the guys at Total CSR. And, prior to me going to work there, the idea of having this podcast was actually, something that was generated by Justin Goodman. So he had said, I think you should have this podcast. I think you should highlight women in this podcast. And, we continued to talk like this was happening. And then eventually I went to work for them, and it has all come to fruition. But I can't take credit for birthing the idea or anything like that. I was just lucky enough to be connected with somebody that saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. Because to be perfectly honest, a year ago, I didn't see myself hosting a podcast. Definitely a fan of many podcasts, and there's many of them on insurance, and I love to listen to insurance podcasts, but didn't really see that as something that I was capable of doing, but have certainly been pushed out of my nest and out of my comfort zone in many different ways over the last few months. But this podcast has been a ridiculously wonderful blessing. I almost I can feel like this lump in my throat. I almost want to tear up as I'm thinking about this. And, when I was deciding what I wanted to talk about during this podcast, it was, what's the direction going to be? And the topics that I wrote down, I'm reading right out of my notes: life, family, career, major lessons, mentoring, pieces of advice, leadership, goals and aspirations, biggest inspirations, opportunities, and pushing boundaries. And so as I think through the last 27 episodes, I am just absolutely floored that I get to steal an hour from the most amazing people that I know. And some of them are, I know in a very vague and recent sense, when they come on the show, but I get to build these connections with people. I get to learn from them. I mean, I feel like I am just I do feel like I'm stealing. I know I said I'm stealing an hour for them. I feel like I'm just getting so much more than I could ever possibly give back to all of these wonderful people. It's just the level of openness and generosity that comes out during these interviews is just mind-boggling. The things that people are willing to share. But that's the thing about this community, is that almost everybody that you encounter in this industry is willing to share of their experience or their expertise in order to help somebody out. It is just all about support. It's about bringing other people along. It's about helping people through their struggles or challenging them. There is so much of this that goes on. And I feel so lucky to be part of such a wonderful group of people. I don't know that I deserve the privilege. Again, this is something that I have to work on in terms of just knowing that we all have something that we can give. Whether you have been doing this job, and I just had this conversation with somebody earlier today, because I think it's absolutely critical. I went through so much of my career believing that until I had 15 or 20 years in the industry, I had nothing to give back. I had nothing to contribute. I didn't have enough experience or wisdom or age or whatever. I could discount myself in so many different ways and point to everybody else that had 30, 40, 50 years in the industry and assume that they were the ones that should have the platform. They are the ones that should have the microphone. They should be the loudest ones in the room. But the thing is that we've all had different experiences, and all of those experiences matter. They make us who we are. They may be, sharing our experience is exactly what somebody else needs to hear, whether it was a challenging experience or a good experience, especially those challenging experiences. If somebody's in the middle of that and you share that story of how you overcame that, like that might be exactly what they need to hear in that moment, that whatever it is that they're going through, they can get through it. They can be even better on the other side. And so I think that there's so much of this, learning from one another and sharing life with each other. And we all come out better from that, right? And I know that I end every single interview more inspired than when I started the interview. There's always something, possibly within the interview, probably in the conversation that takes place before and the conversation that takes place after. Like there is so much that goes on that just lifts me up. And, I hope that through this show, I'm able to give back to others as well. I mean, I hope that that's something that I'm accomplishing with all of this. Our journeys are not about perfection. And I don't think I've had a single woman on this show that would say that they did anything perfectly. But in all of that imperfection and all of the wondering and all of the mishaps, there were some really great things that ended up happening in their lives and in their careers. And so, I think highlighting the humanness and the strength of us as women, as leaders, we are all humans. We have stories, we have experiences, we have challenges, we have failures, and from all of that comes these incredibly valuable lessons. And sometimes they're life-changing lessons, and sometimes they're, maybe a little bit of a pivot right or left, but, we are all living these very, very real lives. And, if we're doing it right, we're sharing it with other people and, inspiring one another. I mean, that's really what this is all about. As I interview these women, I get to learn so much from them, from their professional experience, from their personal experience. I get to hear about things that are close to their heart. And it's an absolute privilege and honor to be able to share that space with these wonderful people. I get to hear about the people who have helped them in their journeys, the wisdom imparted to them from their mentors, and now they're passing that on to others. It's like all of this is like these are the gifts that keep on giving, which sounds a little cheesy, but I like to think that we're all putting those gifts out there, right? We're putting that out into the universe, into our communities. If we're really living life in connection with others and authentically, then we are putting gifts out there that do continue to live on and give to others. And don't even get me started on the music. Like this has been super fun. And, it was actually born out of a random conversation with my sister. I changed the question up a little bit, but hearing people's music choices has been just a delight. Like it's just fun. And the playlist is coming. Becky Schroeder, I promise I will get to work on it. Maybe, on this holiday, the next holiday, I'll get it all taken care of. But at the end of the day, that's what this community is all about. I love connecting with people who are constantly growing and pushing the boundaries. I love spending time with people who pour into others. And just know that to all of the guests who have been on the show and all of them that will be on the show in the future, you are pouring into others. You're pouring into me. And I am just, oh my God, so thankful to the women that have been willing to come on and share their stories, even their really difficult things. And I'm so appreciative of the life that we share before the calls. I feel this wonderful, beautiful connection with people, even some that have maybe been more like strangers before we hopped on the call. We build a rapport and a friendship, and they become part of an amazing community in my eyes, once that conversation happens. And as I see how these people live and work and spend time with others and bring other people along, there's no scores being kept. It's about friendship. It's about love and support and inspiration. So believe me when I say that having this platform is a huge blessing that I do not take for granted for 1 second. I feel just incredibly privileged that these wonderful women come on my show and open up, and just incredibly honored that I then get to turn around and share those stories with whoever it is that's listening. And I want to continue doing this for as long as I can. And to the women out there who might be trying to figure things out, struggling, wondering if their story matters, believe me when I say it matters. This is permission to share your story. Reach out to me. I want to keep featuring amazing women. And I know there's so many out there that I haven't even connected with yet. I don't know you, but I want to know you, and I want to know more about you. And I want to, use your story and share it with others and hopefully inspire somebody or lift somebody else up. And it feels somewhat selfish sometimes, because I know that I get so much out of these shows as well. But reach out to me on any social media platform. LinkedIn's probably easiest. Olivia Schmitt. I don't know how many are out there, but there's probably a few, but you'll find me pretty easily, I think. You can email me, olivia@totalcsr.com. I want to talk to you. I want to share life. I want to know what your story is. I want to know the challenges that you've been through or that you're in right now, and we can help build each other up and bring us through those tough times. And somebody else might have helpful advice. Lord knows I have gotten to procure so much helpful advice from people by way of this podcast. I love those inspirational words, that the things that we would go back and tell our younger selves. I'm so incredibly grateful for the fact that people would share some of those things that they probably hold very close to their heart and very personal. But whatever you're doing, whatever you've done, all of those things that you've overcome, I'm telling you, could very much be exactly what somebody else needs to hear. I know that I am just, pushed a little bit further, and I am lifted up every time I get to speak with one of these amazing women, whether it's on the podcast or some other conversation. If we just, chat back and forth on social media or email, or if we get on this interview, believe me when I say that I feel very lucky to be connected with you guys, or you women, and everybody else in this industry. I know this is not meant to be like, only, like a for women, about women, but it very much is. But I understand, like, it takes an entire community, and hopefully you recognize that I do think having men and women be able to work together is absolutely important. But for me, being able to highlight the amazing women that are out there pushing this industry forward, or being leaders in their communities, or whatever else it is that they might be doing in their space. I want to highlight those stories because I think that they're so important to be able to share with with the rest of my audience. And I love that I have this platform to be able to do that. And I always learn something and I always get something out of it. And so, like I said, it does feel a little bit selfish, but I also feel just incredibly blessed that this is something that I get to do. And so I feel like maybe it's only fair that I answer a few of my own questions. I don't know. Is that let's do this. We'll do it like a lightning round, I guess. So what are the questions that I ask? I've now given the background of how I got to where I am. And incredibly thankful to Total CSR for sponsoring this podcast and letting me do this. Thank you very, very much to those guys over there and for inspiring the podcast. But yeah, what else do I ask? Biggest lessons learned in life. It's okay to change. You don't have to be the same thing. We grow and evolve as people. And, I think for a long time I was like feeling very one-dimensional, but we're not. We're complex human beings, and we learn and we grow and we change, and all of that is okay. Usually the change is for the better. And if we're willing to do the hard work, then we're definitely changing for the better. And it might be super uncomfortable in the moment, but I think it's good stuff. Like there's good stuff on the other side. Advice I would give my younger self. Gosh, just I don't know. I think own it. That sounds super vague and direct, but I think that when you have successes in life, it's okay to own those things. You don't have to downplay them. Like they're yours, and you should be proud of those things. And but when other people succeed, make sure that you are there to celebrate those successes as well. Having a mindset that is just about yourself and not celebrating others is not good. It's going to quickly alienate people, but celebrate your successes as well as the successes of others. And when it comes to owning it, if you make a mistake, own it. I think that's good advice. I feel like that's advice my mom would give, but but I will also pass that along as well. Let's see. Oh, mentors. Oh my gosh. So I was lucky enough to be raised in this industry by one of the most tremendous women that has ever walked the earth. Oh my God, I'm definitely going to cry now. Her name is Diana. Maybe someday I'll get to, have her on the show. But she brought me in under her wing when I was fresh in the industry. And I was maybe a little intimidated by her at first, but she's like a mom to me. And I know I can call her for anything. So not only did she teach me so much about insurance, she taught me so much about being a strong woman and about motherhood and about, just being human. And I am forever indebted to her, and I love her so, so much. Oh, man. This was not supposed to happen. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting all of these questions that I ask. But yeah, she's probably had the most impact on me and my life and my career. But gosh, other passions. I love running, as many of you may know. And I did not start running until I was 24. So I waited a little while to start running. I was not athletic. I'm still grossly uncoordinated, but I can run and chew gum at the same time, which is probably my only, that's the extent of my coordination. I don't really have anything else. How do we promote more women in leadership? Well, I am hoping to do that through the podcast. And so, hopefully I'm encouraging other women by having this show and, sharing some stories of things that people have overcome and how they've managed to build these amazing careers. So hopefully that's helping, but also I think we just have to support one another. We have to be there for one another. I think, when I was in that spot where I was super insecure, it was really hard to I always felt like I was maybe on the outside looking in, but the thing is that it's a really welcoming community, and we just have to continue growing that and bringing people along with us and helping, maybe we have to pull people along in their journeys for a little bit, but then, once they get on track and things really start rolling, then we become their biggest cheerleaders. Family, 3 wonderful kids, Taylor, who just turned 14, Cameron, who is 10, and Karis, who is 7. And I love them dearly, forever and ever. They're forever my babies. I don't care how old or how much taller they are than me. And let's see, I guess song. So song changes all the time. Every once in a while, I do have a guest that will ask in response to my question to them about the song. So it does change quite often, but I would have to say that the song that I've really been, it's been frequently playing in my playlist when I'm out running or when I'm just sitting here working is Live in the Moment by Portugal the Man. It's a fantastic song. And I like dancing, typing, or running to that song. So I think that this is kind of a wrap here now that I've probably taken up more than enough time here. I just want to thank everybody that's been on the show, everybody that's scheduled to come on the show. I hope that you all know how grateful I am if you've been a guest on the show, if you subscribe, if you listen. I am blessed beyond measure in so many ways in my life, but this podcast has been just a welcome surprise. Like I said, a year ago, this was not something that I had really thought I was capable of doing. And so I guess, my last words of wisdom would be we're all capable of amazing things. To go outside of our comfort zone, to push the envelope a little bit, as long as we're doing it respectfully, just keep doing those things. There are so many things that we can accomplish together. There might be some things that we have to do on our own in there, but we really are better together. And I think it's Glennon Doyle says this all the time, but we can do hard things. And I think it's so true. I think there are adventures waiting for us if we're willing to do the hard things, if we're willing to take a chance. I think there are adventures waiting for us that are beyond our wildest dreams. And I'm reminded of this at least, once a week, something happens that just reminds me, it's just staring me in the face that life's greatest adventures are yet to come. We have so much to look forward to, and this amazing community is going to help move this industry, help revolutionize, certain parts of leadership. I can't wait to see what all of the amazing people in this community continue to accomplish. Just know that I am your biggest fans, and I will just be cheering you on. And I think that just to be part of such a wonderful group of people has been one of the biggest blessings of my life. And I love having this show. I love sharing my life and the lives of others with this amazing audience. And I look forward to continuing to do this. And so I thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, if you have interest in being in the show or connecting on any level, or if you know of somebody that you think should be on the show, just reach out to me. I am excited to continue learning and networking with other people. This world of insurance is big yet small, and we take care of one another. And I want to know more of you. So reach out to me. And until next time, have a wonderful week. And I will talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.